Hello and welcome back. Thank you, as always, for tuning in here. Let's have a discussion today about the practical difficulties of A Course in Miracles. Hmm, how about that? Yeah, why does this seem so brutal? And why do we develop such an aversion? Hmm. This is a question that every course student runs into. It's a question that every spiritual student, period, runs into, no matter the tradition. It is something that comes up for all of us. Our resistance to truth. We're drawn to it, yet we are terrified of it. So let's talk about that because it comes up. If it's not coming up for you right now, fantastic. I'm sure that it has at some point. And if it has not, well, then you can count on the fact that it will. I know. Yeah. I mean, really, what else can we reasonably expect when we set out to bring all of our stuff, all of our darkness to the light? To bring all of our illusions to truth in the language of the Course. It's something that we all encounter. We're all drawn to this material. I mean, clearly, if you're watching this video, something has drawn you to it. I'll tell you exactly what that is. It's the call of your inner teacher, the Holy Spirit, to awaken. It's a call that's universal and goes out to us all of the time. 24/7. The question is, are we listening? And at some point, you have most certainly listened and you've done it more than once. And nobody arrives at this tradition, this course by accident. And you can say that about any spirituality at all. There are no accidents. You're here for a reason. And that reason is on more than one occasion, whether you were consciously aware that that was what you were doing at the time or whether you weren't aware, right? You've listened to the voice of our inner teacher and you've answered the call. Thank you. It's very important. Quite simply, the Holy Spirit is with you. The Force is with you. I couldn't resist throwing in a little Star Wars. You know, the Holy Spirit is with you. Why is the Holy Spirit with you? The Holy Spirit is part of our mind. It's with us. So we fear to acknowledge him, it. We fear to acknowledge our inner teacher. You may protest that no, you don't. Well, great. If you really don't, fantastic. This is a practice centered discussion, and we've all run into this at some point. If you're not going through it right now, either you have or you're going to. It's part of the spiritual path. So we think we know everything here in the world. We think we have mastered what we take to be reality. We've made what we consider to be massive technological advances in the last 100 to 150 years. And with this form of communication that we're using right now in the last 30 years, we think we've got the entire thing subdued, yet it's also at the same time quite clear that we don't. We think we have it made, but we don't have it made. The proof that we don't have it made when we run off and seek to dominate the world and do life is the fact that we're not constantly happy. We're not consistently joyous. I don't care if you're very, very wealthy. Some things still make you angry. We still judge people. Things still get to us, right? It doesn't matter what our station in life is or is not. Nothing in this world lasts because the world itself is an illusion. There is no world. This course comes right out and says it. If you've not studied the course in the past, no problem. That's the central teaching. There is no world. It's a dream, an illusion. Illusion, you know that to be true. See, we all are drawn to the light. We're all attracted to truth. And why is that? It's all that there is. Truth is true. I know, one of those brutally obvious statements from A Course in Miracles, yet one that we need to hear over and over again because we refuse to believe it. The Holy Spirit is with you. The Holy Spirit is known by many names, even here in A Course in Miracles, most commonly the voice for God. The answer is another one with a capital A, of course, all caps. Communication, communicator, mediator, friend, comforter. You may call the Holy Spirit Mike, Sue, Elvis, Betty, or your counsel, your team, your guide or guides. Doesn't make any difference what you call it, it's with you. Always. We're afraid to acknowledge this because we fear that it will be the equivalent of denying everything that we now believe. Yes, it will. And what you now believe was never true. It was never true. It was never true that you're a physical body. You are not. It was never true that you are your relationship status, or your job, or your social status, or your amount of money saved up in your brokerage accounts, or the amount of debt that you have. That's not you. This isn't you. What we believe about ourselves was never true. We're not separate individual self-sustaining survival units running amok on this ball of rock that hurtles through space, spinning around and wobbling on this imaginary line that we call an axis. It's made up, just like the world itself. There is no world. This course aims to have us do a perceptual 180. Everything that we appear to experience here is illusion, except our loving thoughts. Those are the only things that can even be said to be real here in the world. Why? Love is all that is real. God is all that is real. God is the only reality. God is. So that may come as a great relief. That is one of the possible reactions. Great relief, a confirmation of something that you've deep down always known. Yeah, you have, of course. Of course you have. Now, the opposite reaction is also possible. Freaking out in existential dread and terror, believing you don't exist. Well, this isn't you, for starters. And if God is the only reality, and ideas leave not their source, we are the thought of God, the Son of God, the creation of God. Ideas leave not their source. Where are you? Who and what are you? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not an individual self sustaining survival unit. This is frail. Look, it has gray hair. It has more gray hair today than it had yesterday, or at least it looks that way. I'm sure that you can relate. It's not the Son of God. The Son of God is part of the all, not a separate component part. There's only perfect oneness. So the all, not an illusion, the all, capital A. You know this. We all know this. The question, do we choose to acknowledge? And right now, today, for you, that answer could very well be no. What are you actually talking about? It's a possible reaction, isn't it? What we take to be our reality is quite clearly not real. That's what has us on the spiritual path in the first place. When you allow yourself to think about it, and I invite you to do just that, we're all here on what we call this journey, walk, path, marathon, sprint, 110-meter high hurdles. I don't know, whatever it looks like for you. We're all on this thing because we've heard the call of our inner teacher to awaken. I deliberately refer to the Holy Spirit as our inner teacher on this series of videos. You'll hear that a lot if you've not tuned in before. The functional, practical emphasis is on inner. We're invited to give all of our experience over to our inner teacher and relax and trust his guidance, acknowledging full well that of ourselves, everything that we attempt to do by our little ego self blows up in our face, if not right away, and often right away, but if not right away, eventually. So we can't, when we go off and attempt to do life all by ourselves and dominate the world and attempt to manipulate, order, and control all compound phenomena. It doesn't sound flattering, does it? But that's what we're trying to do. When you really think about it, we've all done it. We can't guarantee when we do so that everything that we say, everything that we do, everything that we think is going to inure to the benefit of every single living thing to the maximum extent possible throughout space and time. Guaranteed. We can't guarantee that, but our inner teacher can and does. So why wouldn't we follow his guidance? Why wouldn't we exchange our painful illusions for the light of truth? Why would we not make this switch? I invite you to make this switch today. I'll invite you again tomorrow. And the Holy Spirit invites us to do this, just this, all of the time. All right. So we make our own complications. We're afraid to acknowledge the Holy Spirit and let him run the show because we correctly believe it will mean to give up and deny all that we currently believe. Well, this isn't you. It never was. All that we currently believe about ourselves, our brother in the world, is not true. So we're invited to allow our inner teacher to correct our perception. Only when our perception is corrected, clarified, can we actually awaken. Awakening, full awakening, will not come until we've learned to see things as they are, completely, totally, with no stone unturned. When that happens, our clarified perception is so near to truth that it's easily translated to it. Truth dawns of itself. That's enlightenment, awakening, realization, liberation. You may call it whatever you wish to call it. We tend to think of this as an impossibility. Wrong. It's an inevitability, and you have always known. So I invite you to allow yourself today to be led by your inner teacher as far as you're willing to go today. Maybe just a kind of baby step or a couple of shuffles. That's monumental. So this course doesn't mess around. Yeah. I mean, haven't we all messed around enough? I mean, you're here for a very good reason or a series of reasons. There are no accidents at all. So, to the extent that you have questions, you've found this channel on YouTube, I welcome those questions. Spirituality is a deep, deep process of self inquiry. That's what it is. So, questions are most welcome here. If you have them, please feel welcome to leave them in the comments. And if you have not yet subscribed, I invite you to please do that. Join us. This is the prompt here in the corner of your screen. Click that, and this little pop-up will say subscribe. Click that pop-up. Yeah, several videos appear each week. And what we find here as we go through the text of A Course in Miracles is it doesn't matter whether you're a longtime course student or a beginning course student, anything in between, or whether you're a course student at all. It makes absolutely no difference. None. There is a message here in every single conversation for you from your inner teacher. This is a pixelated image on your screen. It is assembled in the constellation of dots that make it resemble a man, a middle-aged man with gray hair from Arizona. You can't get more common than that. It's nothing. The messages are from your inner teacher, who I remind you is part of our mind. The Holy Spirit is with you always. Thank you for joining me.